Okay, so as I have shown in the previous part of this video, the Bible clearly prophesies the total and permanent destruction of Babylon in Iraq during the last days of this age. The evidence for this is so strong that even Bible scholars today are also in mutual agreement that this is a fact. Today, in 2018, Babylon lies largely in ruins, but is visited regularly by archaeologists and tourists. However, during the early 1980s, Saddam Hussein, who was the ruler of Iraq at that time, arranged for a portion of Babylon to be rebuilt, as you can see in the photo. This still stands today. So, if Babylon still exists and is still partially standing in Iraq today, 2018, then it is clear that the permanent and total destruction of this ancient city, which is prophesied in the Bible, has not yet taken place, and is still to come during the final 7 years of this age, known as the Tribulation, of which I will provide more details later. Therefore, it would be logical to assume that when King Nebuchadnezzar II returns at the end of this age, he is going to rebuild Babylon in all its glory. As I have already explained in the previous part of this video, according to the Old Testament, it states that Jehovah God allowed Nebuchadnezzar and his son and grandsons to hold the Jewish nation in captivity for a total of 70 years. However, according to ancient documented history, the Jewish nation only served Nebuchadnezzar and his children in captivity for 66.5 years. Therefore, it is a fact that 3.5 years of captivity still remains unserved by the Jewish nation. This links to the following information. According to the Bible book of Revelation, God will allow the forthcoming Antichrist Nebuchadnezzar to reign for 3.5 years before being defeated by Jesus Christ at the future battle of Armageddon. This is confirmed in the following verse. Revelation chapter 13 verse 5. And a mouth was given to the beast, and he was allowed to continue for 42 months. It's important to point out that when Jehovah God carries out his punishment on Antichrist Nebuchadnezzar, it will take place near the end of the 7-year tribulation period mentioned in the book of Revelation. This works out to be exactly 3.5 years after the day that Antichrist Nebuchadnezzar returns and reveals himself to the world again. The timeline chart you see here was constructed by using the following biblical and historical evidence. 1. God vowed that the Jews would be held captive by Nebuchadnezzar and his sons for 70 years. 2. God vowed to punish Nebuchadnezzar at the end of this 70-year time period. 3. Nebuchadnezzar and his children only held the Jews in captivity for 66 and a half years, which means that 3.5 years of captivity remains unserved by the Jews. 4. Antichrist Nebuchadnezzar will return from the dead at the end of the age, and he will place the Jews back in captivity for 3.5 years. 5. Antichrist Nebuchadnezzar will reign for a total of 3.5 years during the end time tribulation period. 6. Antichrist Nebuchadnezzar will be captured and punished by Jesus Christ at the end of this 3.5 years, which also works out to be the completion of 70 years of Jewish captivity. 7. Antichrist Nebuchadnezzar will be captured by Jesus Christ shortly before the start of the Great Tribulation. 8. The Great Tribulation is the final year of the time period known as the 7-year tribulation. Nebuchadnezzar is actually identified as Satan in the flesh in the following Bible chapter. Isaiah chapter 14, verses 3 to 14. On the day that the Lord gives you relief from your suffering and turmoil, and from the harsh labour forced on you, you will use the following taunt against the king of Babylon. Look how the oppressor has come to an end, along with Babylon, the golden city. This man who struck the people with his fury, who ruled the nations in anger. Now you are persecuted with no one coming to help you. Ever since you were toppled, no one else has opposed us. Those in hell beneath the earth are excited to meet you when you arrive there. The dead there are alerted to your coming arrival. The kings of the nations there have raised up out of their thrones. Just look how you fell from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. Look how you were toppled, this man who weakened the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven and have my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Did you hear that? Did you hear what that Bible verse actually called Nebuchadnezzar? It called Nebuchadnezzar Lucifer, which is another name for Satan. So just to clarify things for you, King Nebuchadnezzar II is actually identified as Lucifer. Here's that verse again. Isaiah chapter 14 verses 3 to 12. On the day that the Lord gives you relief from your suffering, you will use the following taunt against the king of Babylon. Look how you fell from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. It is possible that in verse 12, where it mentions Nebuchadnezzar falling from second heaven, this may be a future description of him as a fallen angel during the 7-year tribulation period, when he will return in the guise of the Islamic Jesus, gracefully descending from the sky over the minaret of a mosque in Damascus, whilst clutching onto the wings of 2 angels. In fact, this ties into another Bible verse which may also be describing this same future event, where Nebuchadnezzar will appear to the world in the guise of the Islamic Jesus. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 14. For Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.